Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock. Let's go over what happened today on a kind of boring to a nice finish towards the day. I'll give you my thoughts on what it means potentially moving into even as early as tomorrow. Tesla is, it's starting to look like it wants to do Tesla things. I'll give you my thoughts as per usual, and I'll give you the main levels to look out for, the upside and the downside. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, etc., again, I do update my members every single day as the market is open, as the market is trading every single day, constantly. My YouTube membership link is down below if you're interested. The first link in the description of the video, or the join button. $3 a month gives you access to the first tier, includes Tesla plus other stocks. Or the second tier for $5 a month includes everything in the first tier, plus NVDA updates constantly in the group. But yeah, let's jump into it. Tesla closing the day up actually 2%. And I say that because, it was fairly flat to kind of up, then down. It was all over the place, but it was contained in a range, right? And then towards the last 30 minutes or so, which is where I was really updating my members quite a bit towards the end of the day, it finally popped, right? It finally popped. So let's go to the 15-minute chart first, right? Let's start things off here very, very quickly, right? So you can see here it got very, very tight, right? You can even technically argue it was kind of like in a bit of a bull flag. Now again, with Tesla bull flags, sometimes you have to be a little bit cautious, especially when it's like the second one, because technically we had that bullish pattern here with the rising triangle, and Tesla likes to sometimes get these second bullish patterns just to go to the downside. So they're not as guaranteed as some other stocks on Tesla sometimes. It likes to trick people. But in this case, it did break out to the upside. And I was telling my members when we were trading pretty much right over here in the last hour of the day, a break above 287 or a break below 285 are the key levels. We obviously broke to the upside and we had higher. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Tesla is in a very, very interesting spot here, to the point where I'm kind of standing back now. I'm kind of standing back and I'm kind of letting it play out and really tell me what it really wants to do, because it is in a extremely, extremely crucial spot here. Because now it's like it's do or die, to be completely honest with you, for the bulls and the bears. And I'll go over what I mean by that. So more on the 1 hour, of course. I want to quickly go over the daily chart before I go to the 1 hour and the weekly, because 1 hour I'll spend the most time on. The daily, and the reason why I said I'm stepping back, right? It's still below 295, like I mentioned yesterday, but the reason I'm stepping back a little bit and giving the bulls a bit of credit here, I'll be honest, I'm giving them credit here, is because it closed the daily above 290. I didn't think the bulls would be able to have the strength to close a daily above 290. They did. So that's why for me right now, the bulls deserve some respect. They absolutely deserve a bit of respect here. And let's see how it goes, right? Let's see what actually comes from this, essentially, right? Is what I'm saying. Because of that strength that the bulls evidently showed, is the highest daily closure we've seen in a very, very long time. You can see up here. So, you'd be a fool not to give the bulls at least some level of respect here. Absolutely, right? No questions asked. So that's kind of what I'm talking about there. And going back to the weekly really quickly, right? I'm sure people that have been following my channel for quite some time remember me constantly talking about my theory, where we have a topping candle, we have 6 weeks of sideways action, and the 7th is when we started reverting to the mean. Exactly the same thing happened. This was arguably the bottoming candle here. We had 6 weeks of sideways action, and then the 7th candle is where we begin that mean reversion. And you can see we're pretty close, guys. We're not that far away from that mean reversion, right? I'm sure down here, I remember people were doubting it, right? And, rightfully so. It's not always very obvious, when it's in the middle of it. And, in hindsight is, of course, now it's looking a little bit more obvious, isn't it? But, when we were down here, yeah, it's, it didn't look as obvious, but, it was a theory I was talking about for quite some time. People that follow my channel for a while probably heard me talking about it, many times over, right? And the point is the fact that, again, we're pretty damn close to that mean reversion. So in other words, if Tesla even up to 310 this week arguably has already reverted to the mean, a much cleaner one will be closer to 320 or 330. But essentially 310 to 330, anywhere in that $20 range, you can absolutely start making arguments that the mean reversion has completed. And that's where things will get potentially really, really interesting, because, we could just get a massive rejection like this, right? That absolutely is a possibility. But that's another story for another time. We're not going to go over it yet there, because we're not there just yet. So now let's go over to the 1 hour chart. Let's talk about what the hell's happening here. So there's a lot to discuss here. There's a few crucial points. Let's talk about we'll talk about the bullish and the bearish versions of them, of course. Let's start off with the bullish versions, right? What are the bullish aspects of what's happening here? I'm going to remove these drawings for now. I'll put them back in once we talk about it. This is the more bearish aspect, of course, but we're going to start with the bullish aspect, right? What's the bullish aspect? Well, on the daily, we mentioned, daily closure above 290. This is the highest closure any 1 hour candle has ever had on Tesla stock ever since this, pretty much post the very aggressive drop we've had. So it's showing signs. The bulls are showing some, they're showing strength, right? They're definitely showing some very powerful strength. So I like to see all those things, right? Those are really, really good to see. It's still holding this trend line. You can see this rising trend line right here. You know, we're pretty much hugging it the vast majority of today. You can see pretty much the whole day we were just kind of very slowly riding it up, and then we exploded towards the end of the day. So again, as long as we're above this trend line, technically the bulls still have control, right? At the very least for the very, very short term. And the final thing I want to talk about that's, you know, making me kind of take a step back, well, two more things actually. One of which is the Fibonacci's, right? So I will admit the bulls, and this is another reason why I said that the bulls are showing more strength than I thought, and I didn't expect a daily closure above 290, because the upper level, remember I mentioned how there's a chance that we do make our way a little bit higher. We did in the morning, actually. You can see in the morning, this was the morning candle right here. We actually pulled up right into those Fibonacci's and got very damn close to it. But now towards the end of the day, we got pretty much right into it. But again, the reason why I'm giving the bulls extra credit here, and I'm kind of stepping back, I'm not trying to step in front of the potential freight train here, which, you know, again, I've been following Tesla for many years, and when it gets going, it can get going, right? And this has the potentials of that. It's above the Fibonacci's, right? That's the other aspect, right? Which is similar to what I said about the daily closing of, you know, nicely above 290. It's above the Fibonacci's in the 1 hour, right? It's above these bad boys right here, which is about 290 to 291. You know, if the bears wanted to step in, you know, they definitely would have liked to step in without it, not only getting above 290 or 291, but especially closing above it, right? Kind of like what AMD did, right? This is kind of what I wanted to see Tesla do, or not wanted, I guess, more specific, I should say, what I expected Tesla to do, right? I have no hedges. Before people start saying anything, I don't have any shorts. I don't have any covered calls. I'm just holding my shares. So believe me, I want it to go up, right? I just want to make that very clear, because a lot of people assume that I get into a bearish position and then I start trying to find any bearish narrative I possibly can. That's not the case here. I have absolutely zero bearish positions on Tesla. In fact, I'm just holding my shares. You know, granted, I got cut a couple times trying to sell cover calls, but I've exited them with very small losses because it just kept showing the strength that I, you know, essentially wasn't expecting fully. But nonetheless, the reason I'm bringing up AMD here is because this is kind of what I wanted Tesla to do, or expected Tesla to do. Massive move up, exactly what Tesla did. Massive sell off, exactly what Tesla did. Massive move up, exactly what Tesla did. And Tesla's arguably right here. Like these candles right here is arguably where Tesla is. But you can see how AMD did sort of stop right around the Fibonacci's. It didn't really go too much higher. It didn't really close too much higher. It was right around them, right? And when it did go higher, it still got sucked back into the fibs, and then eventually obviously rejected, right? This is the reason I bring this up is because this is essentially what I expected Tesla to do. And it still potentially could. It's just, it is showing a bit more strength. As you can see, if I put them side by side, look where Tesla is and look where AMD is, right? You can see how similar it looked. It's just AMD is technically a few candles ahead on the 1 hour, arguably. Just figured I'd point that out just to kind of illustrate of what I expected. It could still happen, but again, because it did close, you know, arguably slightly meaningfully higher than the Fibonacci's, I'm like, okay, all right. Let's give the bulls a bit of room here. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do because, you know, again, they're showing the strength. So again, those are the more bullish perspectives that I'm eyeballing right now, and why I'm, again, taking a bit of a step back here, letting price action develop. If we lose this trend line, for instance, which again, if it happens sometime tomorrow, essentially below like 288, 288 to 290, depending on how quick it happens, different story entirely. But now let's talk about the more well, I guess before I go into the bearish side, you know, let's just talk about, okay, well, let's say it does break this 295, right? That's the level I still mentioned, which we're still below, by the way. But let's say it does break 295. Let's say it does snap above it. Well, that's when Tesla, in my opinion, most likely will short squeeze very aggressively. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see closer to 309, 310, something like that, which is the level that, you know, even on the daily, you can see here, you know, we obviously had a bit of a pivot point right over here, right? A bit of a resistance over here as well. It really wouldn't shock me to at least see 310, maybe even closer to 320, 325. Honestly, by this week, end of this week. At this point, it genuinely wouldn't surprise me when Tesla gets going. It can get going because options flow is just getting slammed. Like for most of the day, it was so-so, honestly. But towards the end of the day here, you can see if I start from somewhere around here, right? Starting at like 2:40 p.m. and onwards, you can see just the amount of weekly calls being slammed. Like a lot of calls are just being slammed on Tesla stock. This is just today as well. There was a lot of it yesterday too. Just being slammed and slammed and slammed. Bought. A lot of weekly buying pressure on calls is happening for Tesla, which is another reason why I'm kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. Maybe the bulls are actually stronger than I expected. But like I said, there's a bearish aspect to it. And I'll very quickly go over the bearish point of view because again, despite the bulls showing very nice strength, potentially promising strength, it's not done just yet. The battle is not over yet. The bears still have a shot here. And it's important to look at both perspectives. So let's take a look at the bearish perspective. What am I looking at still for the bearish perspective? There's three main things. Number one, We're still below 295. Still below 295. This level, it needs to break. This has to break. The bulls need to break this level. I talked about it very in depth yesterday as to why that is. If you haven't seen that video, talk about it. But essentially, again, like I said, very TLDR, breaking below this level here was a bearish pivot point, and this still, as long as the bears defend 295, could still be a bearish pivot point, right? I mentioned yesterday we could still go up to those Fibonacci's around 290, 291. Granted, we're slightly higher than that, but we're not much higher than that, so there is still room for the bears to attack here. So again, in other words, below 295, still arguably, I would still give the bears the overall upper hand if I had to choose. But again, breaking 295, the bulls, in my opinion, now have the upper hand. So that's number one. We're still below 295. And that's number one. Number two, what's it called? We have bearish divergences setting up. So let's take a look at that, right? From here on out, right, you can see bearish divergences. We set this high over here. So even on this candle closure, it was technically the highest candle closure we had, or arguably one of the highest we've had before, of course, not including today's price action. And you can see where the Fibonacci's on these 2 points over here were, not the Fibonacci, sorry, the RSI and even the MACD. You can see the levels that they were at. Keep that in mind. Now we actually have an actual 1 hour candle closure above all of these levels, of course, being the one we literally just closed in the final hour, right? Roughly of the trading. So now we absolutely, unquestionably have a fresh, actual higher high. And I'm talking about, again, candle closure, not overall higher high, just a higher high candle closure. This candle has closed higher than any of these 1 hour candles closed at, right? Great, because that's what MACD and RSI look at. But, and this is the part where I'm, again, I'm not 100% on the bull side yet. I'm actually still slightly leading bearish, honestly, if I had to pick, mainly because of these factors. Again, 295 pretty much being the main one. But despite the price heading higher, making higher high closure candles on the 1 hour, RSI, if I zoom out, take a look, right? Making lower highs. MACD on the histogram, lower highs essentially. It's not going higher than this level was here, despite the candle going higher. Those are bearish divergences, and I'm seeing them across the board. Tesla is showing higher strength than the market itself, but SPY, kind of the same idea. Look at this. What is it doing? It's consistently going higher. What is the RSI doing? It's not going higher. It's also slowly making its way lower. MACD slowly making its way lower. Like, I'm seeing these bearish divergences across the board, not just Tesla. A lot of stocks are doing it, like AMD, NVDA, like they're all doing something similar, right? And even Tesla on this push up also still doing something similar. So those bearish divergences, they're still there. They're still there, absolutely. And that's the main thing that's making me a little bit on the more cautious side, especially below 295. But again, with Tesla, again, with the call flow I'm seeing, breaking 295, this could be one of those instances because, again, no signal is 100% perfect. And this could be one of those 5 to 10% of the times where, yeah, the bearish divergence maybe wasn't as accurate this time around. It happens. Nothing is perfect. This could be one of those times, and that's fine. The important thing is to note and try and understand when is that 5 to 10% of the time? Is this one of them? It could be, absolutely, which is why I'm a little bit more on the safer, reserved side. I'm kind of waiting and seeing for now, right? So that's the thing I'll be looking at, and that's the second thing I'll be paying attention to on the from the bearish perspective. So we have 295, we have the divergences, and I forgot what the third one was. I'll be completely honest with you. The third one, what was the third one? I don't remember what the third one was. Trying to remember what the third one was. I don't remember. There was supposed to be a third one I was supposed to mention, and I completely forgot what it was. So I guess we'll leave it at that. I don't remember what it was. I'm like blanking out. I mean, maybe the volume. I guess the volume is technically lower as we're heading higher. The volume is decreasing. So even as we're pushing, we're technically pushing up on lower volume. Maybe I completely forgot. I got too enveloped in that previous thought. I completely forgot what the third point was. But even just those 2 points alone, in my opinion, are pretty strong enough. In my opinion, right? So yeah, again, there's really not that much more to say. There's not much more to explain. That's just kind of what I'm seeing. Let's see how it plays out tomorrow. So tomorrow should be spicy. Break above 295, could see 310. Honestly, even tomorrow. However, below that, and especially if we start losing levels like 285 and this trend line, it's probably done. And that's probably all she wrote. And we probably head down. And the daily will instead set up something that will look like this, right? Nice, massive push up. And then we get this nice, beautiful consolidation for a couple of weeks or so. And then we head higher. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Those are roughly the pathways I'm seeing. I'm seeing some some action happening post hours. I'm not sure what's happening. Reddit is down 3%. Though it's not reporting earnings yet. We have NVIDIA down a percentile. Some news came out. I'm not sure what it is. So something's happening after hours right now, because we're definitely, yeah, something is definitely happening after hours. Not sure what it is, but something is. Well, I'll take a look at it after I'm done recording this video, I guess. But yeah, anyways, so that's what I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. Tomorrow should be a pretty wild day. We should get a lot better answers tomorrow, in my opinion. But again, my honest thoughts is, if I absolutely had to choose right here, right now, what do I think is going to happen? I still lean bearish. I do still lean bearish, but I'm willing to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt for now. But let's see what happens tomorrow. So anyways, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.